Alright, so again, to kind of reiterate here, if for people who are watching this video, just kind of press pause and copy in everything. Yesterday we solved equations where the variable is in the exponent. Today we're going to talk about solving equations where the variable is in the logarithm. And you can see what I'm talking about. Log, there's an x. In all of these problems you can kind of see how that works. Okay? So to solve these problems, problems like this, we can use exponential functions. So I think it's kind of significant that maybe in between here where we have a little space that we rewrite this, if you remember this. Remember, log base what? Do you remember? B of y equals x converts to what? Y equals b to the x. There we are. Okay? And that's going to be significant because we're going to use that as we kind of go forward here. Okay? So for instance, and I'm actually going to show you how you can do this two different ways. Okay? The first way is, let's rewrite number 1 in this form. Okay? Can you tell me what b is on this problem? 10, right? When there's nothing there, remember it's 10. So that's my b. Okay? This whole thing, this 3x plus 1 is my y. And the answer is always the exponent, so that's my x. Okay, so let's rewrite it in the other form. 3x plus 1 equals 10 to the 5th power. Again, I just identified it, y, b, and x, and plugged them into the other form. How do I solve that problem? What do you think I should do first? Subtract 1. But subtract 1 from what? From 10 to the 5th power. Can we figure out what 10 to the 5th power is? Yeah. How? Use that calculator. Plug it in. What's 10 to the 5th power? Can anybody say it correctly? It's a 1 with how many zeros? 5 zeros. 100,000. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how it always works, by the way. 10 to any power tells you how many zeros you got to add. That's 100,000. Now this should be a super easy problem. Okay, glad you already started me. What do I do first?
Subtract 1.
Subtract 1. Now, if you need a calculator for that, you can get one. But 100,000 minus 1 is 99,999. Okay. Now what? This goes back to algebra 1. What do I do next? Divide by 3. That's right. Take your calculator if you need to. Otherwise, 3 goes into 9 3 times. So 3 goes into all of these 9s 3 times. That's x. That's the answer. So that's the first way to do it. Okay? There is another way, which ends up still getting the same answer, obviously. But we're going to talk about here. We can also think of this as doing 10 to the power of whatever it says to both sides. Okay? So not to the 10th power, 10 to the power of. And because the base is 10, so if the base was 4, I'd go 4 to the power of. If the base was 2, I'd go 2 to the power of, and so on. Okay? This works because log base 10 and is opposites of 10 to the power of, and they cancel each other out. Let me show you what I mean. Okay? So let me rewrite. I want you to go back here and rewrite this whole problem. Log base 10 of 3x plus 1 equals 5. Now again, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go 10 to the power of. So I'm not going to raise them both to the 10th power. I'm going to put 10 to the power of that here. I'm going to put 10 to the power of that here. If you remember yesterday, we had to log both sides because whatever you do to one side, you got to do to the other side. Same thing here. I got to take 10 to the power of this and 10 to the power of this. Now the cool thing is, because this is base 10, when I go 10 to the power of, these cancel each other out. Okay? So let's just cross those out. This 10 and log 10 thing cancel each other out. And I get, well, what's left? 3x plus 1 equals 10 to the 5th power, which again is 100,000. Well, guess what? That is that right there. So I can take 10 to the power of, or I can write it in y equals b to the x form. They both get me to this step, and I solve it from there. Does that make sense? So either way you like, okay? So what do you think I gotta do next, first on number 2? So the key is here, by the way, they always have to be one single logarithmic expression before I can do the 10 thing, okay? So we've done this. We did this in all in 8.3 on that quiz where they're expanded and we gotta put it all together as one. So what should I do first in number 2 to get it to just 1? Anybody? How do I make this into one log statement? What do I gotta do first? Oh, this is gonna be boring. Yeah.
Okay, so I think the 2, I think about a log, don't you like?
That's exactly right.
Exponent,
Take this 2, put it up as an exponent.
and then
Okay.
divide it, oh wait.
So let me rewrite this first of all. You're 100% right. That's the first step. Log x squared minus log 4 equals 2. You should all know what to do next. Go ahead, Paul. What do you think?
You divide it.
That's right. Minus means divide, right? We've done this. This is nothing new. This shouldn't be anything new. Log of x squared divided by 4 equals 2. And the first thing I want you to recognize is, because some people are still doing this, this is not log of x squared divided by log 4. We're just dividing the two terms. So log of x squared divided by 4 equals 2. Now it's one log statement, and you can do one of two things. Do the 10 thing, or rewrite it in y equals b to the x form. Do you guys have a preference? Because I'm just going to keep doing the 10 thing, because watch how easy this is. 10 to the power of, cancels that. 10 to the power of 2. What's 10 to the second power? 100, right? So this just gives me x squared over 4, that's what's left, equals 100. Well, how do I solve that? Yup.
Divide.
Times it by 4, right? We got to get rid of this 4 first, so let's times both sides by 4. Those cancel. X squared equals 400. And what's the opposite of squaring something? Go ahead, say it. Yes? Square rooting, that's right. The opposite of squaring something is to square root it. So those cancel. So I got to square root this side. Make sure you can do that in your calculator. I'm going to tell you what the answer is in just a second. But I want you to make sure that you figure out how to square root 400 in the calculator. Second, x squared button, you'll see the square root signs show up. And then 400. What is it? 20. Sure is. It's not always going to work out perfect. If it was 20.6, I'd want you to put 20.6. But this one does work out real nice. Okay? I want you guys to try 3 through 6. Giving you 2 examples. If you do the 10 thing, it cancels log. So if you look at least 3 and 4 are already in log form. One thing I want to point out, look at number 4, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think I should do to both sides of number 4? Should I put a 10 here? An 8, that's right. Because 10 goes here because this is log base 10. But for this one, I need to go 8 to the side and 8 to this side. Remember how we plugged that in parentheses for the exponent, okay? Go ahead and work your way through that. I'll walk around. Stop me if you have a question.
Okay. All right.
Because what you got to do is it'll debate the first power.
Keep working. I think most people have 3 and 4 right, so I'm going to throw those up there and get started on 5 and 6. They've been a little bit of a struggle for a few people. You gotta again remember 8 to the 1/3 power. I've talked to a few of you. That 1/3 has to be in parentheses when I do that. Okay, so at this point, I think some of you are getting kind of stuck, so let me walk you through it a little bit, okay? Are we feeling okay about those first two? Right, the only thing I saw people doing wrong is right here, they saw that minus sign, so they added 7 to both sides, but the minus is attached to the 2x. So the second thing I saw people doing wrong is maybe forgetting that the negative was here and getting a negative answer here instead of positive. Okay, 2 things there that some people. Here, if you didn't do 8 to the 1/3 power parentheses, you got 2.3 repeating and you got a different answer that way. If you do 8 to the 1/3 power in parentheses, it just equals 2. It's the cube root of 8, which is 2. Okay? Then I add 1 divided by 2. Simple as that. People feeling like, are we okay getting that first step that I have here? Right? Minus means divide, so I get it to here, right? I take that exponent up like Paul was saying, to here, and then minus means divide, and I get here. Everybody okay with those? What do you think the next step is? Because almost all of you did have the next step. How do I get rid of the logs? 10 to the power of, right? I'll call it the 10 thing is what I keep calling it, okay? So I'm going to do 10 to the power of this side and 10 to the power of this side. I'm actually going to do the same thing at number 6, 10 to the power of this side, 10 to the power of this side, okay? These are going to cancel. 6 over 3x comes down. For a couple of people I said, let's reduce that. You don't necessarily have to. On the other side, you've got to plug it into your calculator, 10 to the negative second power. For those of you who did it, is it 0.01, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so 0.01. I'm going to come back to that. Let me go over here. These cancel. X cubed over 8 equals 1 million. 6 zeros. Now I think this was probably pretty easy to solve, but I don't know if you know how to do the other thing. What do I do next? Times by 8, absolutely. Okay, those cancel. X cubed equals 8 million. That's 8, sorry. But now what? If the opposite of squaring something is to square root it, what do you think the opposite of cubing something is? The cube root it. Okay? So let me show you how this works. This is the cube root of this side and the cube root of this side. Now, some of you might not recognize this, but we have done that.
Yeah, so we just.
So what do you think? So can I change that to a power? The cube root is to what power? Do you remember? 1/3. Right? This is the same thing as 8 million to the parentheses 1 divided by 3. You don't have to put 8 million in parentheses. But do that in your calculator, man. Go 8 million to the parentheses 1/3 power. What do you get?
No, I have a different way that I got the same answer.
There is another way to do it.
Like,
Let me see what you got. Yes. And let's see what we're going to talk about that too. Absolutely. Thank you. What'd you get? 200, right? All right. I'm going to show you the way that Madeline knows how to do it, and it's the same thing, okay? On your calculator, I'm going to show you up here, okay? On your calculator, and Madeline, you have a different calculator, but it works the same way on mine. Let me get this white on here because it shows up better. Okay, right? Let's see, where is it here? Oh, it's not on here. Math. Yeah, if you go to math, press the math button. Right below alpha, there's a math button. And if you look down, the fourth choice is cube root. See that, where it says little 3 and then a square root sign? So press 4. And now type in 8 million. 8 with 6 zeros. Too many there. Oops, I didn't have too many there. And you get 200. Right, you see that? Okay, so you can do cube root that way as well. Okay? If you didn't have that, there's another way, but you know how to do it, so I'm not going to throw anybody off there. Okay? Alright, so simple enough. We've got 200 as our answer. What about for this one here? I talked to a few people about this. if I put this over 1, this is a proportion. Let's cross multiply and divide. So 6 times 1 is just 6. If you use your calculator, 3 times 0.01, so think about it, if I give you a penny and say multiply it by 3, what do you got? 3 pennies, right? So 0.03x. So anytime you get something like this with a fraction, just put it over 1 and cross multiply and divide. So again here, I divide by 0.03 to both sides, and I will just tell you, just so happens the answer is 200 here as well. So if in retrospect, I probably should have just had you try 3 and 4 and have us try 5 and 6 together. But do we feel like this is okay though? It's not that bad, is it? Okay. Let's go to the next page where it gets super easy. Super easy. Okay. This is called change of base formula. And when you see this, you're going to wish I had showed you this a long time ago, and I purposely didn't because it makes things too easy. Okay? Change of base formula says log base b of m, and I want you to put little b in capital M. Anything in any log, so log base 2, log base 7, log base 12, whatever it is, can be changed to log base 10 using what I'm about to show you, which means we can solve all of them in a calculator. Okay? By just going log of m divided by log of b. And when I don't have a base there, it's intentional because I mean the base is 10. But I'm not writing the 10s there because I don't need to. We know that means the same thing. Now, there's one caveat here. B cannot equal 1. Okay? So let me show you an example. If I said log base 5 of 3, I could find that value in a calculator by just going log of 3 divided by log of 5 and pressing enter. That's it. Okay? So, I want to try these two down below. Matter of fact, you have how it works. I showed you how it works here. I want you to try 1 and 2. Get an answer. So first thing you got to do when you're doing these in your calculators, you got to make sure, ladies and gentlemen, that when you type in log 15, that you close the parentheses on 15. If you don't, it will divide 15 by log 3 instead of log 15 by log 3. You should have got 2.46 and 3.14. How are we feeling about that? Did we get those? If you didn't, again, go back and look at your calculator. Right here, when you type in log 15, you need to end that parenthesis before you type in log 3. Okay? Alright, so, why is that different? Why does this change of base formula work? Let's check this out. If I were to write this in log form, I would identify y, b, and x, and I would write it in the other form. Log base b of y, which is 19, equals x. Okay, so now, knowing how to do this based on what we just did up above, I would say this is the same thing as log 19 divided by log 4, and I plug that in my calculator. I'm just going to tell you the answer. It's 2.12. Okay? Now watch this. If I take the same exact problem and solve it by logging both sides, I'm going to log this side and I get log of 19. I'm going to log this side and get log of 4 to the x power. I'm going to pull this x out front. So I've got log 19 equals x log 4. And how do I solve that for x? Divide log 4. Those will cancel. divide log 4 here. Well, look, that is exactly what I had there. Of course I'm going to get the same answer, 2.12. So really what this section is trying to show you is there are multiple ways to solve these problems, okay? Pick the way you like best and use it every time, okay? Your homework is literally just the next page, 1 through 12, that's it. Okay, you've got about 12 minutes left in class. You can probably get pretty close to being done if not done, okay?